Daniel had always believed that love was sacred, built on trust, loyalty, and genuine care. When he met Lily, she seemed to light up the predictable rhythm of his life with warmth and laughter. Their connection was instant and effortless, filled with inside jokes, shared dreams, and late-night talks that made him feel alive in ways he hadn't known before. Daniel gave her his entire heart without hesitation, convinced that what they shared was real and unbreakable. Months went by as they lived together, establishing routines, making memories, and in Daniel's mind, shaping a future where she would be by his side forever. He pictured a life together, a home, perhaps a wedding, and the quiet comfort of knowing he had found his soulmate. Then, one ordinary evening, that fragile illusion of their life together shattered. Daniel had left work early, planning a small surprise for Lily, a dinner he had cooked, a bouquet he had carefully picked. When he entered their apartment, her phone was buzzing on the kitchen counter. Habitually, he reached to hand it to her, but the message preview froze him in place. From a contact named Mark. Just a few more weeks, and she'll be mine again. His hands shook as he scrolled through the conversation. Each word hit him like a hammer to the chest. Lily's messages were filled with secret plans, reassurances to Mark that Daniel was temporary, that she would leave him when Mark returned. Every smile, every whispered, "I love you," every shared dream suddenly felt hollow, tainted by betrayal. Daniel stood rooted to the spot, heart racing, unable to cry or breathe properly. The painful truth settled over him. He had never been her priority. He had been a placeholder, a convenient distraction until the person she truly desired returned. Hours slipped by as he stared at the messages, each one deepening the sense of loss and disbelief. When Lily finally returned, humming as if nothing had happened, Daniel saw her in a new, terrifyingly unfamiliar light. The face he had once found comfort in now seemed like a mask, a carefully crafted illusion hiding a truth he wasn't ready to face. Her smile faltered when she noticed the phone in his hand, the energy in the room shifting instantly. "You read my messages?" she asked, voice trembling on the edge of panic. Daniel said nothing. He simply nodded and set the phone down carefully. The silence that followed was almost unbearable, stretching between them like a chasm filled with unspoken accusations. Lily stumbled over her words, trying to justify herself, but every explanation only deepened the wound. Daniel didn't shout. He didn't demand answers. He didn't beg for reasons. Instead, he moved quietly, gathering his belongings, the clothes he had left, the books he loved, and a few photographs that now painfully symbolized a life that had never truly existed. When she tried to stop him, clutching his arm, he met her gaze with quiet sorrow. "You meant for me to find out," he whispered, "but you meant every word you wrote." That night, Daniel walked out without looking back. The door closed softly behind him, marking the end of the world he had thought he knew. He drove aimlessly for hours, city lights blurring past as the weight of betrayal pressed down. Eventually, he arrived at the old seaside spot he had loved as a child. Sitting there, the cold wind biting at his face, he finally let the tears come, each one a release of pain, disbelief, and heartbreak he had held in for so long. The ocean roared along with him, its restless waves mirroring the turmoil inside. Days turned into weeks. Friends reached out, worried, but Daniel lacked the strength to explain, and even if he had tried, words were falling short. He threw himself into work, trying to drown the ache, yet every corner of his home, every object, reminded him of Lily. Her laughter, her scent lingering on fabrics, the half-finished book she had left behind. He didn't hate her. He resented only that she had mistaken convenience for love. Then, one afternoon, she appeared at his office. She looked worn, the brightness in her eyes dulled by regret. "Mark left," she admitted quietly, voice barely carrying. Daniel studied her, expression unreadable. "So now you're back to the temporary guy?" he asked, his words measured, heavy with quiet disappointment. Tears welled in her eyes as she confessed, "I made a mistake. I realized too late that you were the one who truly cared." Daniel exhaled slowly, a mix of sorrow and resolution washing over him. "Lily," he said softly, "you didn't lose me when you chose him. You lost me the moment you decided I wasn't worth your honesty." Her pleas for another chance were met with calm detachment. Daniel had made his peace. Months passed, and slowly he rebuilt himself. He discovered that not every heartbreak needed revenge. Silence, he learned, could speak louder than words ever could. The wound remained, but it became a testament to his endurance, proof that he had survived the storm. He smiled again, met new people, and cautiously let himself trust once more. Lily continued to reach out, apologizing and sending messages that he never answered. From a distance, seeing him laugh genuinely with friends hurt her more than she could have imagined, realizing she was now just a shadow in his story. Daniel never spoke of her again. Yet every sunset reminded him of that night. He walked away, and how leaving her had been the first act of true self-respect he had ever performed. Love, he understood, was not always about holding on. Sometimes it meant letting go before it destroyed the very core of who you were. And so he moved forward, not as a temporary man, but as someone who had discovered his own worth in the quiet aftermath of betrayal.